The opening conversation that this character has with that my character has with this guy here makes me love diversity.
Are you Mr. Glees, the owner?
Yes, sir. May I help you?
You're English?
These days one prefers to think of oneself as European.
Sure. Whatever you say.
And how precisely may one assist you, sir?
I love that comment because he's in France. And that's why he says that. He's in France expecting to hear a French accented English. He hears an English accented English. And the guy's response is, these days, one of us we call it European. I dig that! It would be even more amazing if he just said, these days, one prefers to be called by their own name. I'm not English. I'm me! Doesn't matter where I came from. I'm speaking English to you now. Does it really matter how I came about to learn it? Whether I learned it natively, whether I learned it through practice and study, and then traveled abroad to many different countries and then developed it, and then I came back here, opened up a art gallery, which then sold this red pot, which then you got a hold of and brought you to me. Does it really matter what happened, what transpired before now? No. I'm me. That's why I speak English. Because my name is, whatever that guy's name is, Glees, I think. That would have been the most perfect response. But the whole European thing is still pretty cool. It is cool. It's not as cool as referring to yourself as just saying I speak English because I'm, and then say your name. But it's still cool because he's in France. And it's like by saying, oh, I'm European, it's giving everyone within that area the opportunity to just be to be justified in their English language abilities. They don't have to say anything beyond I'm European, and English is a very European. The area of Europe, people are very affluent in English here. Welcome, you American. Here is so far one of the most favorite lines I have seen in this game.
Have you seen any of Ubier's wife's films?
Only one. Believe me, I was appalled, shocked, disgusted, and repulsed.
Well, you sure got your money's worth. Last time I went to the movies, I wasn't even titillated.
It's such. I love that line. The guy just was like, "Oh my god," and he's like, "My god, you got your money's worth." I love how that guy just totally takes this guy's pompous, pretentious ass and just turns it upside down with that comment. It's the coolest thing in the world. Please listen to this conversation.
Do you get many Central American Indians in here?
No, sir. This is Paris. Central America is several thousand kilometers southwest of here, straight across the Atlantic Ocean and turn left. You can't miss it.
Well, as it happens, I saw some Central American Indians this very morning.
Tourists, sir. Paris is full of them at this time of year.
This is a really interesting dialogue. It's really ingenious how they demonstrate each character's personalities. The right character is asking out of curiosity. The left character, the art gallery owner, is assuming this guy's an ignorant American. They're tourists, you moron. You know, he first says Central America is located here and describes it as if this guy's a moron. And then when this guy continues saying, yes, but I saw some here this morning, he's actually making himself look like a moron because he's like, oh my god, there's Central American Indians here. Oh my god, this is crazy. And this guy's like, they're called tourists, you moron. I like how they did that. But this leads me on a tangent about Native Americans. He said Central American there, but this leads me on a tangent about Native Americans. I was kind of surprised that the writers of this game added the term Indian to Central American, but I'm going to refer to them as a Native American for the purposes of this tangent I'm on. I was surprised that they did that, but I wish that I wasn't surprised. I'm surprised because saying Central or Native American and then adding Indian seems superfluous, as the term Native American came about, or Central American came about, as a politically correct way or politically correct alternative to Indian. I wish I wasn't surprised, because I'm becoming more and more disinterested towards the idea of political correctness. Political correctness comes about, well, this is what I think, it comes about as a society becomes increasingly more diverse, and therefore people with a political investment in that society need terms that allow them to talk about all this beautiful diversity in an unbiased, neutral, safe way. In other words, politicians are scared shitless of causing ripples. The whole concept of political correctness is completely detached, however, from the ethnic groups it tries to address. Do you actually think that people living in America prior to the arrival of Christopher Columbus were consulted before he decided to call all of them Indians? He thought he was in India, so he just labeled everyone on that assumption. I mean, fast forward to now. Do you actually think Indians were consulted before it was decided to refer to them as Native Americans or Central Americans or South Americans? Political correctness is a way for politicians to cover their asses when they are speaking in public. I mean, and good for them. At least they're showing some kind of initiative with their job. In my opinion, no, this is just what I think. If you want to know the political correct term for how to refer to a certain ethnicity, go and ask a person from that ethnicity. I hope they just laugh and say, Stephen, my name is Stephen. Please refer to me as Stephen. And here's some classic. Those girls in the corner, they weren't even fazed with this whole debacle that happened right in front of me. They're still chatting away like this guy did not just fall over and destroy an entire exhibit. And the thing is, I would not expect anything less. They look pretty enthralled in that, and I don't think that they would react to anything unless it physically affected them. Okay, here's another very, very entertaining item with which my character will interact. He's going to pull this label here off this packing case. And just the way his hand moves towards it, grabs it, rips it off, and the way the label actually just peels off, it's just so well done. Check it out. Well, after he fidgets around like that.
There was nothing in the case but styrofoam packing, but pasted on the side was the remains of a label.
And watch this. You see? The label actually peeled off. And he kind of jerked his hand back real hard, like you would if you're ripping something off real quick. Okay, this is to explore a little bit more vocally the concept of managing items in the game and the storyline, and how the end of one item and the beginning of the end and the beginning of another one is the perfect gap to include a puzzle. So in this case, the previous item that was part of the storyline was this thing right here, this pot that was smashed. If you recall, somewhere in one of these videos I made, this pot was smashed, and so that was the end of the item. Now, the beginning of the new item is this thing over here, the label on this packing case that you had seen me rip off. So there is a space in between the pot being smashed and me ripping off this label, and that space is where the developer usually puts, or the designer usually puts, a puzzle. In this case, the puzzle was to get this old guy, this fat guy, to fall onto the casing, to break it, to distract the poop-colored mustard blazer-wearing ponytail pretentious bastard dude, to distract him so that I could get back here, investigate these crates, and find the packing case. So if this were to be on paper, then it would look something like storyline, to find the use of the pot. Pot storyline ends. Puzzle ends. Beginning of new storyline with label item begins. And the puzzle would just be, puzzle is get poop colored man away from crating packing case area so that you can freely investigate. And how do you do this? You get the fat man to fall over onto one of the casings, which then obviously gets the poop colored blazer man distracted. And how do you get the fat man to fall over? You spike his drink with some absinthe, and then he gets so drunk that he falls over. That's the puzzle. That is situated between two item storylines. Very interesting. This is like a very systematic way of setting up the game. You could actually get the entire game set up this way, and you could have just a piece of paper that just has a linear model that has every chunk of storyline separated with a puzzle between each chunk of the storyline, and just have the entire game mapped out this way. That's very interesting. Anyone can do that.